Back on Morning Drive, and just moments ago, Jack Peter revealed the 5 names in the 2019 class for induction into the World Golf Hall of Fame. Retief Goosen, we've just had him in studio, Jan Stevenson, Peggy Kirkbell, Dennis Walters, and Billy Payne. And well, now we're going to focus in on Jan Stevenson in a little bit more detail. So let's remind you just what she achieved in her career. 20 total victories, 16 of them came on the LPGA Tour, 3 major championships, all in the 1980s, and she was the LPGA Tour Rookie of the Year in 1974. And guess what? She's here in studio. Very happy to welcome you. And Jan, congratulations.
Thank you, Cara. I can't believe it. I can't wipe the smile from my face. I'm just in shock.
I have to ask you, what's the last week been like? Because you found out that you were nominated as a finalist, and then you've had to wait all this time.
Well, I was sure I wasn't going to get in, so I just kept saying I'm not going to get my hopes up. And then, because 2 years ago, Nancy Lopez called me, and I was on the ballot, and she started the conversation by saying, you know, I know we've worked really hard, and you were part of it when her and I in the 70s and 80s with helping the tour. And she said, no, you've worked really hard, but you didn't get in. So she started the conversation yesterday. She called me, and she goes, and I saw it was Nancy, and went, hi, Nancy. And I was like, I didn't know what to do. And then she goes, you know, you've worked really hard. And I started crying, because that's exactly how she did it 2 years ago. So I know she was going to say, but you didn't get in. And she said, but this time they recognized that and you made it. And I'm like, what? What did you say? Because I was crying so hard, and I said, say that again? And she started crying. And it was just amazing.
Oh, and have you had time to process it in the 24 hours or less then? Since?
No, I haven't slept at all. I kept waking up when I was kind of going on and off, because I was staying at Bay Hill. And normally I love to stay in a hotel like that because it's so quiet and I don't get any, you know, no one's going to bug me. And I couldn't sleep. And every time I woke up, I'm like, why am I so happy? And I went, oh, my God, I'm in the Hall of Fame. And it was just amazing.
Oh, my goodness. I'm so happy for you. It's so cool to see your raw excitement and emotion. Now, before we go any further, I've got to bring up one of your most iconic images, because Charlie Rymer's been telling me about this all morning long, quite frankly. The famous one, of course, with the golf balls. And you really set the tone, Jan, for marketability, let's say, of women's golf. But I'm interested to know now what challenges you faced at the time and how you reflect on it looking at the state of women's golf now.
Well, I think it's fantastic. I mean, you know, we've always been trying to push women, you know, selling with sex appeal. And that was like to show that we had that. There were the really cute girls. You had Laura Baum, myself, and quite a few in the 70s and 80s. And it was really a fun time, because Nancy and I used to wonder who had the most Post-its on our locker of things to, you know, call and media. So it was really a fun time, except that I actually regret a lot of it, because I felt like I would have won more tournaments. I was so tired doing the promotions, and it was wonderful, because back then I got paid a lot more money than the tours was worth. So, you know, you think about winning second place money, or you can go do a photo shoot and help the tour. So I look back now, and in some ways I do regret it, but it did help the tour.
That's fascinating to hear, because do you see that now with some other sportswomen, perhaps, that get caught maybe by the media side, and it does take away from their professional ability?
It does, and I was concerned that it was not going to get me in the Hall of Fame, because you know, a lot of that have forgotten about things that I did, and really winning a golf tournament, there's nothing like it. So I feel like I probably would have won a few more. But, and I was a little frustrated, because I won so many international ones that they didn't recognize back then, because it was so long ago, before the European Tour was recognized, or the Asian Tour. So I was like, they're not going to recognize those wins, which they didn't, but I still got in.
You did get in, and you did deliver on the golf course as well. I think that's what is important. You did have those major championships and 16 victories on the LPGA Tour, plus the others you mentioned worldwide. So how meaningful was it for you to get those on your resume?
Well, it was really important. You know, my parents were so supportive. I mean, you know, my dad caddied for me in 2 of the majors, so that was really important, and they traveled with me, and so it was really fun to share that. And it was still the most important thing, is winning, and there's nothing like that. It's something you just can't. Like last night was like that. It felt like I'd won the tournament. You know, won a major when I kept waking up.
Oh my goodness! Which accomplishment, if you can pick one, of any in your career, on or off the course, whatever it is there one that you're most proud of?
I think there's two that come to mind. I mean, that one there is when I won the LPGA Championship, and that was my father caddying. But when I was 13, my father used to come. He took night shift at work in Australia, so he could take me to school, to golf, before I went to school. And one day it was really cold. It was the middle of winter in Australia, and I didn't want to get up. It was kind of rainy, and I didn't want to get up and go practice. So my mom told my dad she doesn't want to go. She wants to take the ferry to school, because I lived on the water. And so he came in with a hot water bottle and put it on my feet and said, now, if you get up now and do this, it might mean you'll win a U.S. Open one day. And I went, oh, Dad. So I got up and practiced in the rain. And so they were there when I won the U.S. Open. So it was really special. It gives me goosebumps just thinking about it.
Me as well, hearing the story. Life after golf. You were one of the first women to get involved in golf course design. What kind of drew your interest to that?
Well, I interned with Pete Dye, and I loved it. You know, I worked with the Landmark Land. My ex-father-in-law was the president of Landmark Land, so I wanted to learn every part of it. So I got my PGA Class A. I was really into, I wanted to design, and at those days, we didn't have enough tees, forward tees, and so I was really into that. And Alice and Pete were really into that as well. So I learned a lot from that. It was just really hard when I broke into that business because I was a woman. Nowadays, it's a lot easier. They're coming back now and asking me to renovate, and yet I could not get a job back in the early 2000s.
That's amazing, isn't it? Particularly, as you say, to think about what women need on a golf course and different tees. And as a golf course designer, you need to factor all of that into account. Tell me a little bit as well about Jan for Juniors.
Well, the Jan for Juniors has changed into the Jan Stevenson Crossroads Foundation. So what I do now, I bought a golf course over in Tampa, and Mike and Diane Van Diver, they're my manager, and she's my assistant, so they run it for me. And it's it's for the disabled vets and first responders. And so once a month we have a day where we teach veterans, and then we also put them on the golf course. A lot of them are all from war that work on my golf course, and then we teach them how to build golf clubs and get them into the golf business. Just last week it was Blind Golf Week, so we had 40 blind golfers come out and we taught them golf. And so it's really been, I just love doing it. I mean, at the time I'm always complaining because it's so hard to teach them, and yet it's so rewarding.
It's no surprise you're being inducted into the World Golf Hall of Fame. This woman is a wonder. And one last thing, I hear you have a wine label. Is this something we should try?
Yes, my wine is wonderful, but actually I now have a distillery as well. I have Jan Stevenson tropical flavored rums, pineapple, passion fruit, and mango, and they're winning all kinds of awards because I used Australian flavors, and the distillery has really good water, so I'm very excited about that.
No stopping you. Just one last thing as we close. Can you imagine doing everything that you did at the prime of your career in today's social media world?
No, I would be a huge superstar.
Well, you are in our eyes. You've done wonderful things for the game, and you are now going to be a World Golf Hall of Famer. Jan, thanks for coming in, and congratulations.
Oh, thank you, Cara. I can't believe it.